let's talk. We talked a little bit there about some of the wider issues with Manchester United. Danny, you played the game at a very high level. Without using the word confidence more than once, explain to me the transformation in Marcus Rashford.
I think there's been a few things that have all come together at the right time, which is, firstly, a really single-minded tactical plan of how they want to play and how he wants him to play from the manager, which helps the player in so many ways, because you're not going into a game all the time thinking of different things and who's going to be on the pitch to supply you. They've generally played the same way for a long time, and he's had most of his joy off the left, which has been, for a player, it's very... Some players you say are better because they're more adaptable, but actually it's really hard to continually play different positions and be consistently good. So I think this helped him play in the same role, although he has on occasion played different ones. I think the rise in quality and standard from the players around him, I'm talking people like Fernandes, whose game's risen and got back to the levels he had when he started, which of course helps, because when you're best creative players, you've got Eriksen, who's another forward-thinking creative player who's got into the 11 with Fernandes more often than not. Again, that's helped. And I think from his point of view, one of the things, other than the obvious, which is scoring goals, creating confidence, is physicality. He looks fitter and stronger than I've ever seen him. Not just the sharpness of speed, I'm talking about the upper body strength, knocking people about. I think he's worked tremendously hard on improving his fitness from last season. And I think the other things I've just mentioned all coming together at the same time, a manager with a clear plan for him and the team, players around him playing better than they have before, have all come together to help him really hit the heights that he hasn't done for a couple of years. I think his most productive season a couple of seasons ago, or 3 seasons ago maybe, forgive me if that's the wrong season, but it was 22 goals, 23. He's already beaten that.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, he's tremendous.
What about Ronaldo going, which is a hobby horse of Danny's, who always reckoned that Ronaldo brought the team down, and perhaps this is being proved, Danny, right, that actually Ronaldo disappeared and released Sean. Everybody. I know I hated to admit that one, but you made that point when he was in Italy as well. And maybe that is true. Maybe he was dragging them down.
I don't know about dragging them down, but I think...
Well, affecting their confidence. Say Rashford felt a little inhibited.
Yeah. I think from an individual perspective, that might be true, whereas you see an opening, if you like, as in somebody's got to become the main man when Ronaldo left, and Rashford maybe thought, that's me. But when Ronaldo's there's no opening for that. Everything's about Ronaldo. Everything. So, yeah, I think there's a degree of that. But I don't think that is as important as the other things I said. Because for all Rashford's talent and for all his wonderful football ability, he's got to be fed the ball by a team that has good possession and has creative players in it. And now they've got that.
And Danny, that's right. The way that Eriksen, Casemiro and latterly Fernandes have started to play has really helped him. Because even the best forward players in the world, they can't, except very occasionally, make the goals for themselves. And it was interesting watching Bayern Munich closing off the paths to Mbappe in the recent Champions League game.
Well, they got away with that one, didn't they? They got away with it.
Whatever else they did, they made sure that he wouldn't be getting direct passes through to the goal. Very quickly, let's talk about the goalkeeper, because David De Gea has had an up-and-down career at Manchester United, mostly up, but occasional times he's been questioned. He's now, I think, equalled Peter Schmeichel's number of clean sheets, albeit in 111 games more, if my mathematics, as they rarely are correct. I don't know whether, Sean, we should just compare and contrast these two goalkeepers, or just note that Manchester United have been blessed to have them virtually one after the other, you know?
Do you know, the only thing I'd say is that I covered loads of games with Peter Schmeichel in goal. You know, I can't remember many bad ones. I can remember quite a few mistakes by De Gea in games that cost United greatly, and while he's having a good season now, playing very well, it's not so long ago that everybody was slagging him off and saying he'd gone and they needed to get rid of him. No way for me is he as consistent as Schmeichel was.
No.
I think, you see, I've never played the game professionally, but I think Danny would back me up. If Schmeichel's in front of you, I think that's a much more formidable opponent to get the ball past than if De Gea is in front of you.
I've played against them both, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
There's an amazing presence that Schmeichel had that can be quite daunting when you're trying to score past him. I actually had... He I'd played against him at United, but the only time I scored against him was when he was at City, and we got a penalty. Actually, it was an FA Cup game, if I remember, away at City. And when obviously I was cool with penalties. I didn't mind them. It wasn't something I enjoyed the experience. But when I looked up and I saw Schmeichel, I just thought to myself, "Oh, good God!"
There's no space to put
You know
it
what?
past him.
No, I mean he went early in the wrong way, thank God. But yeah, he was an amazing goalkeeper, and there is an argument, of course, he was in such wonderful teams that De Gea might.
Sure, but he was part of those teams. Goalkeepers are part of the teams they're in, aren't they?
They are, and I would go not just for United X. I would go. It'd be difficult to find someone who I would put ahead of Schmeichel in Premier League history. Never mind United. But the one thing I'd say about De Gea, and he has been absolutely tremendous. Make no bones about that. He makes saves that other keepers can't. He has been allowed to play through his bad spells. And I don't think most keepers get that privilege at a big club.